Dial H number 8, written by China Mieville, art by Alberto Ponticelli. Last issue, we had the reveal that the other dial was likely in Canada, and we had a guy named the Centipede. Yep, so we get the reveal here that the Centipede was kind of like a Captain Atom sort of guy, but he was Canadian, and they get more into his backstory later, but he's just like, yeah, no, I was put into a machine, and now I'm able to do a whole lot of stuff, and now I just want to know where this dial is, because I'm that kind of cutting-edge technology here in Canada. So then we see Roxy and Nelson make their way to Canada. They're on a plane. We see them go through the whole process of getting to the airport, getting in a cab, going back to their hotel and whatnot. And they're basically just talking about, like, all right, what's the plan here? We got to go out. We're going to find the dial. Roxy's going to use her connections within the telephone industry. And Nelson's just going to do his superhero thing because he likes wearing the dial. So Nelson goes out after dialing, and he's got his own thing going on while Roxy's staying in contact with him, but also trying to keep some leads open. We see the Centipede has arrived at Roxy's home, and he's going through checking the whole place using his powers, and he comes across a trapdoor underneath a carpet, and he's like, well, this is interesting. And then we get more of his backstory, where it turns out the Canadians built a time machine. It didn't work, but it did manage to cause him, who was the test pilot, some side effects where he's able to unstick himself from time, which makes him a little bit faster, and he's able to he's able to take whatever version of himself, go back in time to an earlier version of himself, and then keep going ahead from there, but all at once. So everyone just sees this moving trail of a person. It's confusing, but either way, he figures out how his powers work, and he becomes a top asset to Canadian Special Intelligence. So he goes down into this trapdoor, and he finds all this telephone stuff, and he's just like, all right, well, this is probably what we're looking for. And as he dives in deeper, he sees all the Manteau masks on a back wall, and he immediately just calls up on a phone and links to Roxy's hard drive that's on down there. And he calls up, he's like, hi, Dark Mabel, it's Centipede. I know I'm using an unsecured line, but trust me, this is worth it. Can you get a lock on this woman? And they have a hit on her passport because she just arrived in Canada. So it's like, oh, sweet, right in my backyard. I'll be up there immediately. So we follow Nelson, who's wearing the Manteau costume in an attempt to get him to keep his own identity of Manteau rather than whatever it is he's dialing that day. And as he's jumping around, he delivers a hard drive containing a whole bunch of intelligence that needs to be leaked out to some leaker that Roxy knows. And he just drops it off and says, put it up on DC's version of WikiLeaks and let it be free. And he heads out and he uses his powers, which are somewhat fire-based, but it turns out that his character is called Flame War, and the whole thing is that not only is he fire-based, but he also just spits obscenities. For instance, as he approaches the police and starts melting their guns, he says, your squad car is a slut and a Nazi. So there's that. Anyway, he's hopping around, and Roxy keeps on saying, Manteau, you need to focus here. And Nelson starts losing himself. He's like, no, I'm not Manteau. I'm Flame War. And he loses the outfit. And then we see him talking to a trash can named Trash Talk and a wolf wearing a conductor's outfit named Wolf Ticket. And apparently they're all part of a group called the Foul-Mouthed Five. And Flame War, a.k.a. Nelson, realizes, wait a minute, this isn't my memories. This is Flame War's memories. I got to snap out of it. And he does. He turns back. He's Nelson. Not in person, but mentally he is. But then he looks ahead of him and he sees another dialed hero. But this one, he's like, this one's real. This one's just the dude that we've been looking for. He's right here in front of us. I'm not sure what his name is here, but he has some sort of tree powers. And they start just talking briefly, and the tree guy's like, surrender to me now and you won't get hurt. And Nelson's like, no, surrender to me. I need that dial back. So they get into a little bit of a fight, but of course Flame beats Wood, and he's very quickly got the upper hand. So a helicopter shows up and just extracts this guy out without being able to talk to him at all. He's taken out by, I can only assume, Canadian special intelligence. So at that point, Flamemore gets all pissed off. He's like, "Oh, your helicopter's a slut too." So he looks around. He sees this crowd is gathered watching him. Centipede is there, already got visual on him. And Flamemore's like, "All right, I gotta bail. I gotta get out of here." So he starts running away, and Centipede uses his time slightly faster abilities to keep up with Flamemore. And once Flamemore thinks that he is away from everything, he reverses the dial and turns back into Nelson. And Centipede, he's on the phone with his superiors the whole time, and they're like, "Do you have a visual on the target?" And he's like, No, I don't. I lost him in the shuffle." And HQ is like, "Damn, all right, well, get back to base." And he's like, "Will do." But then we see he's just right behind Nelson. He's following him the whole time, and he's like, "Hey, what should I call you?" And Nelson's like, "What do you mean? I have no idea what you're talking about." I was like, "Oh, are you Flame War? Are you Dial Man? Weren't you Cock-a-Hoop at one point?" And he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." But in all this, him getting up in Nelson's face, he manages to grab the dial, and he's like, "You don't even know what this is. You don't even know about O and the secret history of telephone." O stands for operator, by the way. And Nelson tries lunging after him, he uses his time powers to get away. And he's like, "Well, I don't know a lot of stuff about this, but I do know how to dial for a hero." And it looks like he's about to start dialing as Nelson is helpless to stop him. Okay. I mean, I'm a little bit confused by the overarching plot. Kind of lost me a little bit somewhere in the weeds there. I get the whole thing of, this group that Centipede's working for is looking for Roxy. They got a track on him. They managed to track him down. I got that. I was just a little bit confused about the leaking data part to someone, like out in public. It just didn't quite really explain exactly what they were doing with that, save for just trying to, it just says here, Ottawa initiative stuff, CEOs, the government, the Haitian coup. But I don't know what this is for. I'm not sure why this is important to the plot yet. Maybe it's set up for a future thing. I don't know. But it is a fun story at the very least. And Flame War is just a fun villain. And they keep on playing up this thing of the mental state. Like, how do you remember when you're you and when you're a different hero? Something that isn't really played with enough in the DC universe. So overall, I'm going to give this one I'll give it a flat 7. I think that it's good, but not great. So looking forward to seeing next issue, and got a creepy looking cover. I'll tell you that much, and you'll see it next month.